Hey everybody, how you doing? This is John. Listen, Mike Tyson is a prophet. He really is. Now, I know that sounds weird, and I know that sounds crazy, so I want to talk to you about that for a minute. So years ago, when Mike Tyson was the heavyweight champion of the world, he said everybody has a plan until they get hit. Everybody has a plan until they get hit. Now, that has proved to be prophetic many different times. People would have different strategies. They go into the ring with Iron Mike, and the next thing you know, they're being carried out. So what he said seemed to be true, but it raises the question, what is a prophet? What does it mean to be a prophet? And there's really kind of two ways to think about it. One, most people think is you're a fortune teller. You're able to accurately predict future events. Well, really what the prophetic gift is really about is that you're more of a truth speaker. So you're somebody who speaks the truth. I'll give you an example. Case in point, from my own life, years and years ago, Captain Wally and I were stationed together out at 5, out 11th and Hendricks. At that time, it was just a single truck, a one bay station. And it was, I don't remember what the holiday was, but man, we were grubbing good food. And Craig said to me, he goes, man, you keep eating like that, and you're going to spend a lot of money on clothes as you get older. Okay, so he was about half right, because I am a lot heavier than I was way back then, but I don't spend a lot of money on clothes because I kind of go for the short sweatshirt look kind of year round. So does that make Captain Wally a prophet in the sense that he's a prophet? Or does it mean that he was speaking a truth that turned out to be true for a future thing? So when we start to think about it that way, it almost kind of diminishes the power of being a prophet, kind of. I can remember the moment, plain as day, when I realized there was a difference between young firefighters and old firefighters, or firefighters that weren't on the job quite as long and firefighters that had been on the job for quite some time. And I'm using firefighters as a general term. I'm not using it as a term of rank, for instance. But I was out at 4. It was about 9:30 at night, 10 o'clock at night. Guys were heading to bed. A couple guys were already in bed. And at that time, that was about a 6-man station. And we get an alarm. And the alarm comes in for a potential fire in the grain elevators, explosion right down the street there, fire in the grain elevators. And the young guys like me, we were like, oh. And the old guys were like, son of a no, oh man. And there was this huge difference in like attitude of the men that were heading to the truck to get on and get going. And it struck me at that moment, man, there's a huge difference between guys that have been here for a long time and guys that haven't been here for a long time. And it's taken me years to kind of try to figure that out. It didn't mean that the younger firefighters, the more passionate firefighters, the more energetic were better firefighters. It certainly didn't mean that. And it didn't mean that the older guys that seemed to be less passionate, it didn't mean that they were less of a firefighter. It didn't mean that at all. One of the things that you see at the fire department an awful lot when guys come on and they're eager and they're passionate and that kind of stuff, there's a lot of training that occurs. There's a lot of times at the drill tower, at the drill grounds, and you're running over things and there's repetition and you're doing it again and you're doing it again and you're doing it again. And the reason why you do these kinds of things, you say, well, it's training. Everybody's got to know. Yes, that's true. It is training. It is about knowing what the steps are and all of that kind of stuff. But it's also taking advantage of the psychology of the firefighter at the time. So the young firefighter's passionate. He's eager. He's like, woohoo, let's go. Well, you better take that energy and you better push it into training, because what the training does is it instills this discipline within you. It instills this mechanical response to an emergency, this mechanical response to a set of criteria, and then you hopefully are going to get back what you put in, what is desired response to that. You see, passion is the fuel, right? Passion is the fuel that pushes us past where we think we can go. It pushes us past the point that we would normally stop. And it pushes us into this next place. And that next place can oftentimes come with great success or unmitigated disaster. Either way, it's interesting that many of the multimillionaires in the world have been bankrupt 2 or 3 times. Why? Well, but they have this passion for this thing, and they push past the bounds on which you would normally go. And sometimes, bang, they hit it rich, and sometimes, well, they're in the basement. And so that's part of it, is our passion pushes us past the point that we would normally say stop. And on the other side of that can be great success or great disaster. Now, but what we have to get about passion, okay, is that one day we're going to wake up and the passion ain't there anymore. I don't know if that's maturity. I don't know if that's just getting older and getting lazy. I'm not sure what that is, but it's true in that firefighter, that businessman, that whatever occupation you want to use, that husband, that father, he's going to be passionate about that thing. And he's going to be passionate about that thing the next day. And then one day he's going to wake up and you know what, I'm not really passionate about it anymore. And so a successful fire department, right? A successful fire department can't have firefighters who won't answer the bell. They can't have firefighters who are not willing to push themselves past the place that a sane person would normally stop. You can't have that because, let's face it, you're going to answer bells that the same person ain't going to go to. So a successful fire department can't have firefighters who won't push themselves past, but they need the passion pushed into discipline, because discipline will also answer that bell. Discipline will also take you past the place that you would normally stop, but discipline is going to take you past that place in a controlled manner and in a manner in which strategy still works. So in other words, we're going to wake up one morning and we're not going to feel it. And so the times that we did feel it, we better hope we disciplined ourselves to be a good husband, to be a good father, because there's times we ain't going to feel that. Now, in firefighting, exactly the same. Many of you could probably say, yeah, first 4 or 5 years on a job, man, I was fired up. I was passionate. I was ready to go. Every bell, man, I was sliding the pole, jumping out windows to get on the truck. Now, I don't care if that bell goes off at all. But when the bell goes off, you're one of the most well-trained, well-disciplined, trustworthy people on the fire scene. Why? Because of all the training you've had over the years. You've been there and you've done that. And you can do it with a heart rate that doesn't take you into the stratosphere. That's what a successful fire department is trying to get its people to. That makes sense? I think that makes sense. Discipline helps us think. Oftentimes when we're just full of passion and energy and go, we can't think at all. We're continuing to try to drive that round peg into a square hole over and over and over and over again. Now, here's where the Mike Tyson thing comes into play. So everybody's got a plan until they get hit. In the fire service, we pre-fire plan lots of different buildings downtown and other places. And all of that works great on paper, on the computer screen, and in those think tanks. But in real life, when you're down there, it's always different. The wind is always a way you didn't think it was going to be. Your water supply isn't always what you exactly thought it was going to be. Your manpower isn't. There's always something, okay? There's always something. So everybody's got a plan until they get hit. If you can work that plan in a disciplined manner, you can think your way into the next phase of it or the next chapter of it to overcome whatever it is that you're getting hit by, the left hook, the right uppercut, whatever it may be. After we get hit, our initial plans oftentimes are ineffective. But with the discipline there, we get to think our way into the next plan of attack. That just makes sense. We see that on the fire scene. We see that in business. We see that in life. We see that with our marriages. We see that all over. You know, our faith is the same thing. Our faith is exactly the same way. It takes discipline to live out a lifetime of faith. I think what this coronavirus phase of our life is really doing for us is it's giving us an opportunity to re-examine not only our disciplines, but the things that made us passionate about it in the beginning. So what I love about the Lord is He always provides these moments of passion, these moments of energy, these moments of, Lord, I'll do whatever it is you want me to do. And what happens in those moments, or what should happen in those moments, is we pour that into a discipline. So that the morning that we wake up and we're not passionate about our faith, the morning that we wake up and we don't want to do our devotions, the morning that we wake up and the last thing we want to do is pray, we have a discipline that we can fall back on in which we will do those things. So the easiest thing for me to explain discipline is to explain it this way. RPMs, your RPMs. So just like on a motor, you're going to rev your RPMs. In our discipline of faith, I want you to rev your RPMs. Now the R stands for read. The P stands for pray. The M stands for meet. And the S stands for share. So I'm going to tell you, man, read the book. Man, put your nose in the book and read the book. You're going to say, John, I don't understand anything out of that book. Man, I read that book, I don't understand nothing. I don't know who David is. I don't know who Abraham is. I don't know who Paul is or Peter. I barely know who Jesus is. I can't read that book. I get nothing out of the book. Here's what I want to say. What's the date? What's the date today that you are watching this? Whatever the date is, whether it's the 10th, the 12th, the 15th, the 17th, the 21st, I don't care. Whatever date that is, go to the book of Proverbs and read the chapter that corresponds with the date. So if it's the 20th, go read chapter 20. It might be 15 verses long or something like that. You can do this. And what you'll see is you'll start to recognize yourself in the chapter in Proverbs. And as you start to recognize yourself in the chapter of Proverbs that corresponds to the day, you'll start to see how you fit in the other stories of Scripture. Once you see how you fit, all of a sudden the book makes sense. All of a sudden there's a passion for it. All of a sudden that hunger begins to burn inside of you to know more and more and more. Now pray. Okay, that's the R. Here's the P. Pray. How do you want me to pray? Like you want me to say Lord's Prayer and you know, maybe a couple Hail Marys? I don't care. It won't matter to me. Okay, you can Our Father all you want. You can Hail Mary all you want. You could put your hands in the air and you could just speak freely from the heart. I don't care. Praying is about communication. Okay, it's about communication. So as we communicate, we're going to build a relationship with. When we start to build a relationship with, we start to see how we fit. We start to feel back. When we're reading and we recognize ourselves in the Scriptures, we recognize our place in the Scriptures. When we're praying and we start to see how we fit into this thing that we call love. Remember, God loved us so much that He sent His only begotten Son. Why are we here? Because God loved us. Why do we get up and work here? Because God loved us. Why? Because God loved us. So how do we fit in this thing called love? All right. If you're reading and you're praying, you'll start to see how you fit in this thing that we call love. Meet, RPM, meet, MEET. Meet with other people that are reading and praying. So you mean like go to church? Well, yeah, I mean like go to church, but right now it's kind of hard to go to church. But meet, small group, meet with your wife, meet with your buddy, meet somehow, some way. I don't care if you call them on a phone. I don't care if you're doing the Zoom stuff. I don't care if you stand 10 feet away out in a parking lot somewhere and talk. Talk to other people. Communicate with other people who are also reading and praying. And what you'll find is you'll start to hear God's voice through their life and how it impacts your own. And you'll start to see yourself in a community of believers. RPMS. S stands for share or serve. Read, pray, meet, share. What I like to say is, if you R and you P and you M, then you'll be able to share. If you don't RPM, you can't share. You have nothing to share. You might know about the game that isn't being played right now, or you might know about this that isn't really happening right now, but you can't share the spirit that's inside of you because the spirit's dormant. The R, the P, and the M will fan that flame to life. It will cause passion to happen. Here's the secret between passion and discipline. Man, the more you discipline yourself to RPM, the more that passion is going to grow. You're going to get hit in the mouth. You're going to have a plan for what you and your wife are going through. You're going to have a plan for what we're all going through as a community. You're going to have a plan for what you're going to do when you get off that truck to go into that alarm. You're going to have a plan. And then you're going to get hit. And then you're going to get hit. And then you're going to get hit. Your plan has to be a plan steeped in discipline so that your faith survives the encounter. Because your passion is not going to pull you through getting hit. Your passion drives you to the discipline. And your discipline is the foundation that takes you through the thing and on to the next thing. Life is hard. It's always going to be hard. Rev your RPMs. Because Mike Tyson was right. Everybody's got a plan until they get hit. And we're going to get hit. This is HFD number 61. God bless you.